Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I just want to share another Secrets of the Ages by the Master Code of Abundance and Achievements by Robert Collier. Your Key to Victory. Do you know how Napoleon so frequently won battles in the face of a numerical superior foe? By concentrating his men at the actual point of contact. His artillery was often greatly outnumbered, but it accomplished far more than the enemy's because instead of scattering his fire, he concentrated all on the point of attack. The time you put into aimlessly dreaming and wishing would accomplish marvels if it were concentrated on the definite object. From the Secret of Ages. The Secret of Ages. Robert Collier. I want to share about this book for every person who want to wake up, who want to be in the top, doing the difference in the new earth. Chapter 1. The world's greatest discovery. You can do as much as you think you can, but you will never accomplish more. If you're afraid of yourself, young man, there is little for you in store. For failure comes from the inside first. It is there if we only knew it. And you can win, though you face the worst, if you feel that you're going to do it. Edgar A. Guest. What, in your opinion, is the most significant discovery of this modern age? The finding of dinosaur eggs on the plains of Mongolia, late Soviet scientists assert some 10 million years ago. The unearthing of ancient tombs and cities, with their confirmation of the scriptural story and their matched specimens of bygone civilizations. The radioactive time clock by which Professor Lane of Tufts College estimates the age of the Earth at 1.250 million years. Radio, airplanes, atomic energy, the hydrogen bomb? No, not of any of this. The really significant thing about them is that from all this vast research, from the study of bygone ages, men are for the first time beginning to get an understanding of that vital force which somehow, some way, was brought to this earth thousands or millions of years ago. They are beginning to get an inkling of the infinite power it puts in their hands to glimpse at the untold possibilities it opens up. This is the greatest discovery of modern times, that every man has within him a particle of creative force, endowed with infinite intelligence, infinite resources, that he can call upon this power at will, that it is as much the servant of his mind as was ever Aladdin's fabled genie of the lamp, of all that he has but to understand it and work in harmony with it to get from it anything he may need, health or happiness, riches or success. To realize the truth of this, you have but to go back for a moment to the beginning of things. In the beginning, it matters not whether you believe that mankind dates back to the primitive ape men of 100,000 years ago, or sprang full grown from the mind of the Creator. In either event, he had to be a first cause, a creator. Some power had to bring this earth the first germ of life, and the creation is no less wonderful if it started with the lowliest form of plant life and worked up through countless ages in the highest product of today's civilization, than if the whole were created in 6 days. In the beginning, this earth was just a fire mist 6,000 or a billion years ago. What does it matter which? The one thing that does matter is that sometime, some way, they come to this planet, the germ of life, the vital force which animates all nature, plant, animal, man. If we accept the scientist's version of it, the first form in which life appeared upon earth was the humble, algae jelly-like mass which floated upon the waters. This, according to the scientists, was the beginning, the dawn of life upon the earth. Next came the first bit of animal life, the lowly amoeba, a sort of jellyfish consisting of a single cell without a vertebra and with very little else to distinguish it from the water round about. But it had life, the first bit of animal life, and sufficient intelligent resource to find the means of sustaining life and to progress. From that life, according to the scientists, we can trace everything we have and are today. All the millions of forms and shapes and varieties of plants and animals that have since appeared are but different manifestations of life, formed to meet different conditions. For millions of years, this life germ was threatened by every kind of danger, from floods, from earthquakes, from droughts, from desert heat, from glacial cold, from volcanic eruptions. But to it, each new danger was merely an incentive to finding a new resource, to putting forth life in some new shape. To meet one set of needs, it from the dinosaur to meet another. The butterfly, long before it woke up to man, we see its unlimited resourcefulness, showing 1,000 ways to escape danger in the water. It sought land, pursued on land, it took to the air, to breathe in the sea. It developed gills, stranded on land. It perfected lungs. To meet one kind of danger, it grew a shell. For another, a sting. To protect itself from glacial cold, it grew fur. And temperature climbs hair. Subject to alternate heat and cold, it produced feathers. Whatever, from the beginning, it showed its power to meet every changing condition, to answer every creature need. Had it been possible to kill this life germ, it would have perished ages ago when fire and flood, drought and famine followed each other in quick succession. But obstacles, misfortunes, cataclysms were to emerge a new opportunity to assert its power. In fact, it required obstacles to awaken it, to show its energy and resource. The great reptiles, the monster beasts of antiquity, pass on, but the life principle stayed, changing as each age changed, always developing, always improving. Whatever power it was that brought this life germ to the earth, it came endowed with unlimited resource, unlimited energy, unlimited life. No other force can defeat it. No obstacle can hold it back. All through the history of life and mankind, you can see its directing intelligence. Call it nature, call it providence, call it what you will, rising to meet every need of life. The purpose of existence. No one can follow it down through the ages without realizing that the whole purpose of existence is growth, expression. Life is dynamic, not static. It is ever moving forward, not standing still. The one unpardonable sin of nature is to stand still, to stagnate. The Gigantosaurus, that was over 100 feet long and as big as a house. The Tyrannosaurus, that had the strength of a locomotive and was the last word in frightfulness. The Pterodactyl, or flying dragon, all the giant monsters of prehistoric age are gone. They ceased to serve a useful purpose. They did not know how to meet the changing conditions. They stood still, stagnant, while the life around them passed them by. Egypt and Persia, Greece and Rome, all the great empires of antiquity perished when they ceased to grow. China built a wall about herself and stood still for 1,000 years. Today, she is oppressed by communism and all nature. To cease to grow is to perish. It is for men and women who are not ready to stand still, who refuse to cease to grow, that this book is writing. It will give you a clear understanding of your own potentialities, show you how to work with and take advantage of the infinite energy all about you. The terror of the man at the crossways, not knowing which road to take, will be no terror to you. Your future is of your own making, for the only law of infinite energy is the law of supply. The life principles is your principle to survive, to win through, to triumphantly surmount all obstacles has been its everyday practice since the beginning of time. It is no less resourceful now than ever it was. You have but to supply the urge to work in harmony with it, to get from it anything you may need. For it, this vital force is so strong in the lowest forms of animal life that it can develop a shell or a poison to meet a need. If it can teach the bird to cycle and dart, to balance and fly, if it can grow a new limb on a spider to replace a last one, how much more can it do for you, a reasoning, rational being with a mind able to work with this life principle, with an energy and initiative to urge it on? The evidence of this is all about you. Take up some violent form of exercise, rowing, tennis, swimming, riding. In the beginning, your muscles are weak, easily tired, but keep on for a few days. The vital force flows into them more strongly, strengthens them, taunting them to meet their new need. Do rough manual labor, and what happens? The skin of your hands becomes tender, blisters, hurts. Keep it up, and does the skin all wear off? On the contrary, the vital force provides extra thicknesses, extra toughness, calluses. We call them to meet your need. All through your daily life, you will find this life force. Steady at work, embrace it, work with it, take it to yourself, and there is nothing you cannot do. The mere fact that you have obstacles to overcome is in your favor, for when there is nothing to be done, when things run along too smoothly, this life force seems to slip. It is when you need it, when you call upon it urgently, when you seem to have used up every bit of vital force in you, that's most on the job. It differs from lack in this that fortune is a fickle jade who smiles most often on those who need her less. Stake your last penny on the turn of a car, have nothing between you and ruin but the spin of a wheel of the speed of a horse, and it is thousands to one. Luck will desert you, but it is just the opposite with the life principle. As long as things run smoothly, as long as life flows along like a song, these life principles seem to slumber, secure in the knowledge that your affairs can take care of themselves. But let things start going wrong. Let ruin and disgrace stare you in the face. Then is the time this life force will assert itself if you but give it a chance. The open sesame of life. There is Napoleonic feelings of power that ensure success in the knowledge that this invisible life force is behind you every act, knowing that you have working with you and power which never yet has failed in anything it has undertaken. You can go ahead in the confident knowledge that it will not fail in your case either. The ingenuity which overcomes every obstacle in making you what you are is not likely to fall short when you have immediate need for it. It is the reserve strength of the athlete, the second wind of the runner, the power that, in moments of great stress or excitement, you unconsciously call upon to do the deeds which you ever after look upon as superhuman. But they are in no way superhuman. They are merely beyond the capacity of your conscious self. Allow your conscious self with that sleeping giant within you. Rouse him daily to the task, and those superhuman deeds will become your ordinary, everyday accomplishments. W.L. Klein of Oakland, Oregon wrote, I know that there is such a power, for I once saw two boys, 16 and 18 years of age, lift a great log of their brother, who had been caught under it. The next day, the same two boys, with another man and myself, tried to lift the end of the log, but could not even budge it. How was it that the two boys could do at need what the four were unable to do later on? When the need had passed, because they never stopped to question whether or not it could be done. They saw only the urgent need. They call upon all their vital force, never doubting, never fearing. And the genie which is in all of us, waiting only for such a call, answered their summons and gave them the strength, not of two men, but of 10. Medical men would explain it by saying that under the stress of excitement, their glands pumped such stimulants into their bloods that they were capable of almost any effort. But whether you call it glands or the answer to prayer, the fact remains that there is a power in each of us capable of superhuman effort, and that under the stress of urgent need, we call it forth. It matters not whether you are a banker or lawyer, businessman or clerk, whether you are a custodian of millions or have to struggle for your daily bread. The life force makes no distinction between rich and poor, high and low. The greater you need, the more readily will we respond to your call. Wherever there is an unusual task, wherever there is a poverty or hardship or sickness or despair, there is this servant of your mind, ready and willing to help, asking only that you call upon him. And not only it's ready and willing, but it is always able to help. Its ingenuity and resource are without limit. It is mind, its thought. It is the telepathy that carries messages without the spoken or writing word. It is the sixth sense that warns you of unseen dangers. No matter how stupendous and complicated, nor how simple your problem may be, the solution of it lies within yourself. And since the solution is there, this mental giant can call it forth. It can know and it can do every right thing. Whatever it is necessary for you to know, whatever it is necessary for you to do, you can know and you can do if you will but seek the help of the genie of your mind and work with it in the right way. Chapter 2. The Genie of Your Mind. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishment the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. Henley. First came to the Stone Age, when life was for the strong of arm, of the free of foot. Then there was the Iron Age, and while life was more precious, still the strong lorded it over the weak. Later came the Golden Age, and riches took the place of the strange, but the poor found little choice between the slave drivers, whips of olden days, and the grim weapons of poverty and the starvation. Now we are entering a new age, the Atomic Age, which is really the age of mind, when every man can be his own master, when poverty and circumstance no longer hold power, and the lowliest creature in the land can win a place side by side with the highest. To those who do not know the resource of mind, this will sound like rash statements, but science proves beyond question that in the wellspring of every man's mind are unplumbed depths, undiscovered deposits of energy, wisdom, and ability. Sound these depths, bring these treasures to the surface, and you gain an astounding wealth for a new power. From the rude catamaran of the savage to the giant limiters of today, carrying their thousands from continent to continent, is but a step in the development of mind. From the lowly caveman, cowering in his burrow in fear of lightning or fire or water, to the engineer of today, making servants of all the forces of nature, is but a measure of difference in mental development. Men without reasoning mind would be as the monkeys are, prey to any creature fast enough and strong enough to pull him to pieces, at the mercy of wind and weather. A poor, timid creature, living for the moment only, fearful of every shadow. Through his superior mind, he learned to make fire to keep himself warm, weapons with which to defend himself from the savage creatures round about, habitations to protect himself from the elements. Through mind he conquered the force of nature. Through mind he has made machinery to the work of millions of horses and billions of hands. What he will do next, no man knows, for man is just beginning to awaken to his own powers. He has split the atom. When he is harshening its power, he is beginning to get an inkling of the unfathomed riches that are born deep in his own mind. Like the gold seekers of 49, he has panned the surface gravel for the gold swept down by the streams. Now he is starting to dig deeper to the pure vein beneath. We bemoan the loss of our forests. We worry over our dwindling resource of coal and oil. We decry the wasting our factories. But the greatest waste of all, we pay no attention to the waste of our own potential mind power. Professor W.M. James, the world-famous Harvard psychologist, estimated that the average man uses only 10% of his mental power. He has unlimited power, yet he uses but a tithe of it. Unlimited wealth all about him, and he doesn't know how to take hold of it. With godlike powers slumbering within him, he is content to continue in his daily grind, eating, sleeping, working, plodding through an existing little more effectual than the animals, while all of nature, all of life calls upon him to awaken, to bestir himself. The power to be what you want to be, to get what you desire, to accomplish whatever you are striving for, abides within you. It rests within you only to bring it forth and put it to work. You must learn how to do that, of course, but the first essential is to realize that you possess this power. Your first objective to get acquainted with it. Psychologists and metaphysicians the world over are agreed on this, that mind is all that counts. You can be whatever you make up your mind to be. You need not to be sick. You need not to be unhappy. You need not to be poor. You need not to be unsuccessful. You are not a mere clod. You are not a beast of burden, doomed to spend your days in unremitting labor in return for food and housing. You are one of the lords of the earth with unlimited potentialities. Within you is a power which, properly grasped and directed, can lift you out of the rut of mediocrity and place you among the elect of the earth, the lawgivers, the writers, the engineers, the great industrialists, the doers, and the thinkers. It rests with you only to learn to use this power which is yours, this mind which can do all things. Your body is for all practical purposes merely a machine which the man uses. This mind is usually true over unconscious or consciousness, but the conscious part of your mind is in fact the very smallest part of it. 90% of your mental life is of subconscious. So when you make active use of only the conscious part of your mind, you are using but a fraction of your real ability. You are running on low gear. And the reason why more people do not achieve success in life is because so many of them are content to run or lose year all their lives on surface energy. If these same people would only throw into the fight the resistance forces of the subconscious and superconscious mind, they would be amazed at their undreamed of capacity for winning success. Religion has always taught us to look upon God as a triplicity, as three in one, but seems to have forgotten the man is likewise three in one, made in the image and likeness of God. For man's mind is triplicity: the conscious mind, the subconscious, and the subliminal or subconscious mind. The conscious mind. When you say I see, I hear, I smell, I touch, it's your conscious mind that is saying this. For it is the force governing the five physical senses. It is the phase of mind with which you feel and reason, the phase of mind with which everyone is familiar. It is the mind with which you do business. It controls to a great extent all your voluntary muscles. It discriminates between right and wrong, wise and foolish. It is the generalism in charge of all mental forces. It can plan ahead and get things done as it plans, or it can drift along haphazardly, a creature of impulse at the mercy of events, a mere bit of blossom in the current of life. For it is only through your conscious mind that you can reach the subconscious and the superconscious mind. Your conscious mind is the porter at the door, the watchman at the gate. It is so the conscious mind that the subconscious looks for all its impressions. It's on it that the subconscious mind must depend for the teamwork necessary to get successful results. You wouldn't expect much from an army, no matter how fine its soldiers, whose general never planned ahead, who distrusted his own ability and that of his men, and who spent all his time worrying about the enemy instead of planning how he might conquer them. You wouldn't look for good scores for a ball team whose pitcher was at odds with the catcher. In the same way, you can't accept results from the subconscious when your conscious mind is full of fear or worry, or when it does not know what it wants. The most important province in your conscious mind is to center your thoughts on the things you want. Believe that you receive, and then shut the door on every suggestion of fear or worry or failure. If you once gain the ability to do that, nothing else is impossible for you. For the subconscious mind does not reason inductively. It takes the thoughts you send into it and works them out on the logical conclusion. Send to it thoughts of health and strength, and it will work out health and strength in your body. Let suggestions of disease, fear of sickness or accident penetrate to it, either through your own beliefs or the talk of those around you, and you are very likely to see the manifestation of disease working out in yourself. Your mind is master of your body. It directs and controls every function of your body. Your body is in effect a little universe in itself. And mind is radiating center, the sun which gives light and life to all your system, and around which the whole revolves, and your conscious thought is master of this sun center. The subconscious mind. Can you tell me how much water, how much salt, how much of each different element there should be in your blood to maintain its proper specific gravity if you are leading an ordinary sedentary life? How much and how quickly these proportions must be changed if you play a fast game of tennis, or run for your car, or chop wood, or indulge in any other violent exercise? Do you know how much water you should drink to neutralize the excess salt in salt fish? How much you lose through perspiration? Do you know how much water, how much salt, how much of each different element in your food should be absorbed into your blood each day to maintain a perfect health? No? Well, it did not worry you. Neither does anyone else, not even the greatest physicists and chemists and mathematicians, but your subconscious mind knows. And it doesn't have to stop to figure it out. It does it almost automatically. It is one of those lightning calculators, and this is but one of thousands of such jobs it performs every hour of the day. The greatest mathematicians in the land, the most renowned chemists, could never do in a year's time the abstruse problems which your subconscious mind solves every minute. And it doesn't matter whether you have ever studied mathematics or chemistry or any other of the science. From the moment of your birth, your subconscious mind solves all of these problems for you. While you are struggling with the three R's, it's doing problems that would leave you teacher aghast. It supervises all the intricate process of digestions, of assimilation, of elimination, and all the glandular secretions that would tax the knowledge of all the chemists and all the laboratories in the land. It planned and built your body from infancy on up. It repairs it. It operates it. It has practical unlimited power, not merely for putting you and keeping you in perfect health, but for acquiring all the good things of life. Ignorance of this power is the sole reason for all the failures in this world. If you would intelligent to turn over this wonderful power all your business and personal problems, no goal will be too great for you to strive for. Dr. Geo C. Pitzer sums up the power of the subconscious mind very well in the following. The subconscious mind is a distinct entity. It occupies a whole human body, and when not opposed in any way, it has absolute control over all the functions, conditions, and sensations of the body, while the objective, conscious mind has control over all our voluntary functions and motions. The subconscious mind controls all of the silent, involuntary, and vegetative functions, nutrition, waste, all secretions and excretions, the action of the heart in the circulation of the blood, the lungs in respiration or breathing, and all cell life, cell change and development are positively under the complete control of the subconscious mind. This was the only mind animals had before the evolution of the brain, and it could not, nor can it yet, reason inductively, but its power of deductive reasoning is perfect, and more, it can see without the use of physical eyes. It perceives by intuition. It has the power to communicate with others without the aid of ordinary physical means. It can read the thoughts of others. It receives intelligence, transmits it to people at distance. Distance offers no resistance. Successful missions of the subconscious mind. In Practical Psychology and Sex Life by David Bush, Dr. Wimbling is quoted as going even farther. To quote him, it's this mind that carries on the work of assimilation and upbuilding whilst we sleep. It reveals to us things that the conscious mind has no conception of until the consummations have occurred. It can communicate with other minds without the ordinary physical means. It gets glimpses of things that ordinary sight does not behold. It makes God's presence an actual, realizable fact, and keeps the personality in peace and quietness. It warns of approaching danger. It approves or disapproves of a course of conduct and conversation. It carries out all the best things which are given to it, provided the conscious mind does not intercept and change the course of its manifestation. It heals the body and keeps in the health. If it's at all encouraged, it is, in short, a powerful and beneficent force, but like a live electric wire, its destructive force is equally great. It can be either your servant or your master. It can bring to you evil or good. The Rev. William T. Welsh, in a book published some years ago, explained the idea clearly. The subconscious part in us is called the subjective mind because it does not decide and command. It is a subject rather than a ruler. Its nature is to do what it is told, or what really in your heart of hearts you desire. The subconscious mind directs all the vital processes of your body. You do not think consciously about breathing. Every time you take a breath, you do not have to reason, decide, command. The subconscious mind sees to that. You have not been at all conscious that you have been breathing while you have been reading this page. So it is with the mind that the circulation of blood. The heart is a muscle like the muscle of your arm. It has no power to move itself or to direct its action. Only mind, only something that can think, can direct our muscles, including the heart. You are not conscious that you are commanding your heart to beat. The subconscious mind attends to that, and so it is with the assimilation of food, the building and repairing of the body. In fact, all of the vital processes are looked after by the subconscious mind. Man lives and moves and has his being in this great subconscious mind. It supplies the intuition that so often carries a woman straight to a point that may require hours of cumbersome reasoning for a man to reach. Even in ordinary, everyday affairs, you often draw upon its wonderful wisdom. But you do it in an accidental sort of way without realizing what you are doing. Consider the case of Blind Tom. Probably you have heard or read of him. You know that he could listen to a piece of music for the first time and go immediately to a piano and reproduce it. People call that abnormal, but as a matter of fact, he was in this respect more normal than any of us. We are abnormal in that we cannot do it, because our subconscious mind retains a perfect record of everything we have ever heard or seen. And if appealed to in a proper way, they will recall this image to consciousness. Consider the case of these Leiden calculators of whom one reads now and then. Add me a boy 7 or 8 years old, but you can ask him to divide 7 million 649,437 by 326,2568, and he will give you the result in less time than it would take you to put the numbers down on a piece of paper. You call him phenomenal. Yet you ought to be able to do the same yourself. Your subconscious mind can. Dr. Hudson, in his book, The Law of Physics Phenomena, tells of numerous such prodigies. Here are just a few instances. Of mathematical prodigies, there have been upwards of a score, whose calculations have surpassed in rapidity and accuracy those of the greatest educated mathematicians. These prodigies have done their greatest feats while but children from 3 to 10 years old. In no case had these boys any idea how they performed their calculations, and some of them would converse upon other subjects while doing the sum. 2 of these boys became men of eminence, while some of them showed but a long degree of objective intelligence. Wadley spoke of his own gift in the following terms: there was certainly something peculiar in my calculation faculty. It began to show itself between 5 and 6 and lasted about 3 years. I soon got to do the most difficult sums, always in my head, for I knew nothing of figures beyond numerations. I did these sums much quicker than anyone could upon paper, and I never remember committing the smallest error. We went to school, at which time the passion wore off. I was a perfect dunce at the ciphering, and have continued so ever since. Professor Sayford became an astronomer. At the age of 10, he worked correctly a multiplication sum whose answer consisted of 36 figures. Later in life, he could perform no such feats. Benjamin Hall Blythe, at the age of 6, asked his father at what hour he was born. He was told that he was born at 4 o'clock. Looking at the clock to see the present time, he informed his father of the number of seconds he had lived. His father made a calculation and said to Benjamin, "You are wrong. 172,000 seconds." The boy answered, "Oh, Papa, you have left out 2 days for the leap years 1820 and 1824, which was the case. Then there is the celebrated case of Sarah Colburn, of whom Dr. Schofield writes. Sarah Colburn could instantaneously tell the square root of 106,929 as 327 and the cube root of 268,336,125 as 645. Before the question of this number of minutes in 48 years could be writing, he said 25,220,810. He immediately gave the factors of 247,483 as 941 and 263, which are the only two, and begin ask then for those of 36,083. Answer none. It is a prime number. He could not tell how the answer came into his mind. He could not, on paper, do simple multiplication or division. The time will come when, as H.G. Wells visioned in his Men Like Gods, schools and teachers will no longer be necessary except to show us how to get in touch with the infinite knowledge our subconscious mind possessed from infancy. The smartest man in the world, wrote Dr. Frank Crane in an article on Liberty, is the man inside. By the man inside, I mean that other man within each one of us that does most of the things we give ourselves credit for doing. You may refer to him as nature or the subconscious self, or think of him merely as force or a natural law. Or if you are religiously inclined, you may use the term God. I say he is the smartest man in the world. I know he is infinitely more clever and resourceful than I am or than any other man is that I ever heard of. When I cut my finger, it is that calls up the little phagocytes to come and kill the septic germs that may get into the wound and cause blood poisoning. It is that coagulates the blood, stops the gash, and weaves the new skin. I could not do that. I do not even know how he does it. He even does it for babies that know nothing at all. In fact, does it better for them than for me. No living man knows enough to make toenails grow, but the man inside thinks nothing of growing nails and teeth and thousands of hairs all over my body, long hairs on my head and little fuzzy ones all over the rest of the surface of the skin. When I practice on the piano, I am simply getting the business of piano playing over my conscious mind to my subconscious mind. In other words, I am handing the business over to the man inside. Most of our happiness, as well as our struggles and misery, comes from this man inside. If we train him in a ways of contentment, adjustment, and decision, he will go ahead of us like a well-trained servant and do for us easily most of the difficult tasks we have to perform. Dr. Jung, celebrated Viennese specialist, claimed that the subconscious mind contains not only all the knowledge that it has gathered during the life of the individual, but in addition it contains all the wisdom of past ages, that by drawing upon its wisdom and power, the individual may possess any good thing of life, from health and happiness to riches and success. You see, the subconscious mind is the connecting link between the Creator and ourselves, between vital force all about us and our own bodies and affairs. It is the means by which we can appropriate ourselves all the good gifts, all the riches and abundance which universal mind has created in such profusion. Berthelot, the great French founder of modern synthetic chemistry, once stated in a letter to a close friend that the final experiments which led to his most wonderful discovery had never been the result of carefully followed and reasoned trains of thought, but that, on the contrary, they come of themselves, so to speak, from the clear sky. Charles M. Barrows, in suggesting instead of medicine, tells us that If man required another than his ordinary consciousness to take care of him while I sleep, not less useful is this same physically provision when he is awake. Many persons are able to obtain knowledge which does not come to them through their sense in the usual way, but arrives in the mind by direct communication from another conscious intelligence, which apparently knows more of what concerns their welfare than their ordinary reason does. I have known a number of persons who, like myself, could tell the contents of letters in their mail before opening them. Several years ago, a friend of mine came to Boston for the first time, arriving at what was then the Providence Railroad Station in Park Square. He wished to walk to the lower station on the opposite side of the city. Being utterly ignorant of the streets, as well as the general direction to take, the confident set forth without asking the way, and reach his destination by the most direct path. In doing this, they trusted solely to instinctive guidance, as he called it, and not to any hints or clues obtained through the senses. The genius of literature, of art, commerce, government, politics, and inventions are, according to the scientists, by ordinary men like you and me, who have learned how to draw upon their subconscious mind. Sir Isaac Newton is reported to have acquired his marvelous knowledge of mathematics and physics with no conscious effort. Mozart said of his beautiful symphonies that they just come to him. Descartes had no ordinary regular education, to quote Dr. Hudson. This is a power which transcends reason and is independent of induction. Instances of its development may be multiplied indefinitely. Enough is known to warrant the conclusion that when the soul is released from its objective environment, it will be enabled to perceive all the laws of its being, to see God as He is. By the perception of the laws which He has instituted, it is the knowledge of this power which demonstrates our true relationship to God, which confers the warrant of our right to the title of sons of the God, and confirms our inheritance of our rightful share of His attributes and powers, our heirship of God, our joint heirship with Jesus Christ. The subconscious mind is the seat of memory. Every thought or impression we have ever had is registered there. The conscious mind remembers nothing beyond what is held in its thought. It must draw upon the files of the subconscious for everything it wishes to recall. Considered from the standpoint of its activities, says Warren Hilton in Applied Psychology, the subconscious is that department of mind which in one of the hand directs the vital operation of the body, and the other can serve subject to the call of interest and attentions. All ideas and complexes not at the moment active in consciousness. Observe, then, the possibility that lies before you. On the one hand, if you can control your mind in its subconscious activities, you can regulate the operation of your body functions, and can thus assure yourself of bodily efficiency and free yourself of functional disease. On the other hand, if you can determine just what ideas shall be brought forth from subconscious into consciousness, you can thus select the materials out of which you will be weaving your conscious judgments, your decisions, and your emotional attitudes. To achieve control of your mind is, then, to attain A. Health, B. Success, and C. Happiness. Few understand or appreciate, however, that the vast storehouse of knowledge and power of the subconscious mind can be drawn upon at will, now and then through intense concentration or very active desire. We do accidentally penetrate to the realm of the subconscious and register our thought upon it. Such thoughts are almost invariably realized. The trouble is that as often as not, it's our negative thoughts, our fears, that penetrate, and these are realized just as surely as the positive thoughts. What you must manage to do is learn to communicate only such thoughts as you wish to see realized to your subconscious mind, for it is exceedingly amenable to suggestion. You have heard of the man who was always bragging of his fine health, upon whom some of his friends decided to play a trick. The first one he met one morning commented upon how badly he looked and asked if he weren't feeling well. Then all the others, as they saw him, made similar remarks. By noontime the man had come to believe them, and before the end of the day he was really ill. That was a glaring example, but similar things are going on every day with all of us. We eat something that someone else tells us is bad for us in a little while we think we feel a pain. Before we know it, we have indigestion, when the chances are that if we know nothing about the supposed indigestible properties of the food, we could eat in the rest of our days and never feel any ill effects. Let some new disease be discovered and the symptoms described in the daily paper. Hundreds will come down with it at once. They are like the men who read a medical encyclopedia and ended by concluding he had everything but housemaid's knee. Patent medicine advertisers realize this power of suggestion and cash in on it. Read on their ads. If you don't think you have everything the matter with you that their nostrums are supposed to cure, you are the exception and not the rule. You see, the subconscious chooses those things that are handed to it as facts and works them out to a logical conclusion. You read or hear that doing such and such will bring on a cold or fever or some other ailment. The subconscious accepts this as a fact unless you actively combat the belief, and if you do the things prescribed, it will proceed to give you a cold or fever, even though you had never given the matter of a second conscious thought. That's the negative side of it. Emily Cowie bases his system on the positive side, that you suggest to your subconscious mind that whatever ills it thinks you have are getting better. And it is good psychology at that. Properly carried out, it works wonders. But this method has its weakness. Suggestion will cure many ills, but not all. When you try to suggest something to the subconscious that is contrary to a long-held or deep-state belief, you will fail. The subconscious will not accept it. You have to do something to change its belief. You have to convince it. And in later chapters we shall show you how. Suffice is now to state that your subconscious mind is exceedingly wise and powerful, that it knows many things that are not in books, that when you properly use its infallible judgments, unfailing power, that it never sleeps, never tires. Your conscious mind may slumber, it may render it impotent by anesthetics or a sudden blow, but your subconscious mind works on, keeping your heart and lungs, your arteries and glands ever on the job. Under ordinary conditions, it attends faithfully to its duties and leaves your conscious mind to direct the outer life of the body. But the conscious mind meets some situation with which it is unable to cope, and if it will only call upon the subconscious, that powerful genie will respond immediately to its need. You have heard of people who have been through great danger till now, when death stared them in the face and there seemed nothing they could do. Things went blank before them, and when they came to, the danger was past. In the moment of need, the subconscious mind pushed the conscious out of the way. The while it may overcome the danger. Impelled by the subconscious mind, their bodies could do things absolutely impossible to their ordinary conscious selves. For the power of the subconscious mind is unlimited. Whatever is necessary for you to do in any right cause, it can give you the strength and the ability to do. Whatever good you may desire, it can bring to you. The kingdom of heaven is within you. But remember this, the subconscious works beneath the surface, and it reasons logically, deductively from the facts that are giving it. It will not go contrary to those facts. If you want to change it, you must give it a new and stronger facts to work upon. Not only that, but you must nullify the original facts. The universal mind. Have you ever dug up a potato vine and seen the potatoes clustering underneath? How much of intelligence do you suppose one of these potatoes has? Do you think it knows anything about chemistry or geology? Can it figure out how to gather carbon gas from the atmosphere? What and all the necessary kinds of nutrients from the earth round about to manufacture into sugar and starch and alcohol? No chemist can do it. How do you suppose the potato knows? Of course it doesn't. It has no sense. Yet it does all these things. It builds the starch into cells, the cells into roots and vines and leaves and into more potatoes. Just all Mother Nature, you would say, but all Mother Nature must have a remarkable intelligence if she can figure out all these things that no human scientist has ever been able to solve. There must be an all-pervading intelligence behind Mother Nature. The intelligence that first brought life to this planet, the intelligence that evolved every form of plant and animal, that holds the winds in its grasp, that is all wise, all powerful. The potato is but one small manifestation of this intelligence. The various forms of plant life, of animals, of men, all are mere cogs in the great scheme of things. But it is different. The man is an active part of this universal mind, that he partakes of its creative wisdom and power, and that by consciously drawing to him its vital power, and then working in harmony with universal mind, he can do anything, have anything, be anything. There is within you, within everyone, this my resistless force with which you can perform undertakings that will dazzle your reason, stage your imagination. There constantly resides within you a mind that is all wise, all powerful, a mind that is entirely apart from the mind which you consciously use in your everyday affairs, the superconscious mind or higher self. Your subconscious mind partakes of this wisdom and power, and it is through your subconscious mind that you can reach the superconscious and draw upon it the attainment of anything you may desire. When you call intelligent and use your subconscious mind in this way, you can be in communication with that higher self in you, which is part of the universal mind. Remember this: the universal mind is omnipotent, and when the subconscious mind is in tune with the higher self, there is no limit to the things that it can do, giving any desire that is in harmony with the universal mind. And you have but to hold that desire in your thought with confident and serene faith to attract from the invisible domain the things you need to satisfy it. You see, there is just as much of the creative force around you today as there was when the world was made. And the universal mind, of which your superconscious is a part, is just as capable of making from it anything it desires. In the beginning was the Word, says the Gospel of St. John. What is a word? A mental image, is it not? So all that God had in the beginning was a mental image. That was his mold, and into he poured the creative force all about him and formed the world and everything upon it. If you are like most of us, you are not too well satisfied with your world as it is. What shall you do to improve it? Recreate it. All you need is the mental image and the faith to pull. And the faith to care about it. An understanding of this explains the power of prayer. The result of prayer are brought about by some special dispensation of providence. God is not a finite being to be cajoled or flattered into the things as you desire. When you pray earnestly, you form a mental image of the thing you desire and you hold it strongly in your thought. Then, if you have the necessary faith that you are receiving the thing asked for, your superconscious mind, which is part of the universal or God mind, draws to you enough of the creative force to fill out the image you are holding in thoughts and to bring it into the being. Throughout the Old and the New Testament, you find assurance that we are sons of God, partaking of the all of His power, that nothing is impossible to us. And from earliest recorded times, a few have proved this to be so. Jesus cured the sick, He raised the dead, He brought gold from the fish mounds, He fed thousands with a handful of loaves and fishes. He showed His followers how to perform similar wonders, and everything that He did, He assured us that we could do also, and greater things than this shall you do. Whence comes such power? Where but from our part of divinity, from the superconscious mind, which is part of the universal of God mind. Most of us think of mind as being merely in the conscious part of us, but from the earliest Greek religious writings, we have been taught that man is triune being. First, the physical or conscious self. Second, the subconscious, sometimes called the inner mind, because it's latent within you. Third, the superconscious or higher self. Go back 2000 years before Christ to the Upanishads or earliest religious books of India and you find a similar teaching. Study the religion of the Egyptians and you find the same belief. The great pyramids with triangle on each side exemplify the idea you made on many of their monuments. The Egyptians believed that the K or higher self could separate itself from the body at will and perform any service that was required of it, regardless of distance. You can send your higher self to do your will, as Jesus sent his to cure to the centurion servant. Through it, you can protect your loved ones, you can heal, you can help in all ways. To do so, however, you must charge it with your own vital force. You can never help another without giving something of yourself. You must consciously give of your vital force. You must have the faith to see your higher self doing the things you direct it to do. You must believe it is doing them. Giving such faith, all things are possible to you. All around you is the vital force of the universe, the material of which everything is made. And you are a creator with the God-given power to use that vital force as you please, to make of it what you will, but to create anything of good requires four things. First, the mental image of what you want. That's the mold. Second, knowledge of your power, so you can consciously draw to you all the vital force you need. Breathe it and then pour it into your mental mold. Third, faith in your creative power. Faith to crystallize the vital force in your mold until it's manifest for all to see. Fourth, doing something to convince your subconscious mind and through it, the superconscious, that you do believe you have received. For instance, a woman who prayed for a house that got a board and nail and kept them before her, affirming that they were the beginning of the house. As I see it, the universal mind is the supreme intelligent creator of the universe, and we are partakers of the divine attributes. You are part of it. I am part of it. And anything we do that is for the good of all that support of this universal mind, provided we call upon it, to bring you to realization of the power latent in you, to teach you simple, direct methods of drawing upon it, is the beginning and the end of this book. There are two kinds of people on earth today. Just two kinds of people, no more. I say not the good and the bad, for it's well understood. The good are half bad, and the bad are half good. Not the rich and the poor, for they count a man's wealth. You must first know the state of his conscience and health. Not the humble and proud, for in life's busy span who puts in vain ears is not counted a man. No, the two kinds of people on earth, I mean, are the people who live and the people who learn. Wherever you go, you will find the world's masses are ever divided in just these two classes. And strangely enough, you will find too, I win, there is only one lifter to 20 who lean. In which class are you? Are you easing the load of overtaxed lifters who toil down the road? Or are you a leaner who lets others bear your portion of worry and labor and care? Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Okay, thank you folks for today. Hope we'll share soon more about this book. Have a blessed day. Bye bye.